Howdy everyone, we're back for our penultimate interview of the day. We got our second to last. It's Jon Agnone, Senior Analyst of Workforce Analytics for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Welcome, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your job. You do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, we get to do fun stuff. We get to work with all our people data at the Gates Foundation. So it's not just HR data, we get to work with a lot of survey data.
Gotcha.
We do a bunch of surveying internally, mostly internal focused data. Occasionally we get to merge with some of our program data so we can see some of the grants and connect those to individuals, kind of do all types of fun data puzzles.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So you've been with the foundation for how long? You said
About 3.5 years.
3.5 years?
Yeah.
Cool, and how have you seen Tableau kind of influence the organization?
Oh, it's a good question. So I believe from talking to a gentleman a little earlier today who was involved in our setup, I think we got live on Tableau and Tableau Server about a year before I joined, so probably closer to 5 years ago. And right as I was coming on board, about 4 weeks in, they launched our HR dashboards, which is the version 1.0, which we actually just presented about 2 hours ago to a room of 100 eager HR analysts here, and which was our 2.0 version.
Cool.
So it's gets a lot of use, but so that's at least for HR. That's our main use case. We have monthly dashboards that are refreshed up there, and then a lot of our BI stuff happens on Tableau as well.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So what is your typical day and/or week look like?
Oh, that's a great question. No, well, that is the one thing that's great. Things change constantly.
Cool.
Right. So we get requests, every once in a while. One of our co-chairs, Bill or Melinda or Warren, will ask a question that we don't have an easy answer to.
Gotcha.
So we get to kind of drop everything and get into that, which is really fun.
I bet they're really good at asking
They are
questions.
really good at asking those questions. That's right. But when those things aren't happening, we have, let's see, every once in a while, people, whether it's a learning team or an operations team, want us to help design a survey and get that going for them, analyzing the survey data, helping with insights. It's really the one thing that we were talking about earlier. Tableau's really helped us is we don't get into that manual effort as much as we used to, where now we have things automated on dashboards. And so we can really spend our time on more of those insight generation, deeper dives. And so the more, standard, how many people do we have at a given office, at a given title, we don't have to worry about that stuff. That's just kind of grinding in Tableau and up on server, and it's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, and what are some of the, and of course, you can't speak about certain things, I'm sure, but what are some of the insights that you've been able to glean from this? Yeah,
so one of the great insights, and this is up on Tableau and something we shared a couple hours ago.
Cool.
What we have is referred to as a career movements dashboard. So we had a myth that people can't have a career at the foundation. There's nowhere to go. It's a small organization. And so we were able to mash up 3 different data systems. And we're on Workday right now as our information system for our HR data.
Okay.
But we're able to go back to 2008 and figure out that actually we have a tremendous amount of career growth and movement. And so we were able to kind of get out there and kind of bust that myth and let people know that you can, in fact, have a career at the foundation if you want to be there. And
very cool.
And that's been great for
And you said
leaders.
that info is all public as well, right? Or is that information?
Well, yeah. So that we're getting out there and sharing that, but the really cool parts of that dashboard are things that only executives and some of the business partner leaders can get into because it's really granular. But rolling that information up, we're able to go out there and say, hey, actually, compared to other companies, we have way more movement, and it's a great place to be.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
A very attractive scene as well. You got Seattle. You're right there next to the Space Needle. What is the Space Needle Park called? Whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's Seattle Center. You've obviously been there, as we were talking about earlier. It's gorgeous.
Huge facility out there.
Every once in a while, and can't help but make a reference to Top Gun, but you'll have one of those seaplanes come and buzz our tower, as they're able to fly pretty low.
Wow.
So you'll see them coming and going over the campus. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great area of town.
Yeah.
It's my favorite place in Seattle.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Cool. So can you talk about just how you guys do a data-driven culture across teams? I know that's something that can be challenging.
Yeah. Always, it's the best way to go about this. So we have a lot of people who digest information in Tableau up on server, and so what's great is that not just our team, but our financial planning team, a lot of the program teams tracking some of their grants and where that work's happening. things are up on Tableau so that people know that they can self-service these.
Okay.
And so what's great for us is that everyone's really curious for data and wants to be able to get into it, and just being able to have that information up there at your fingertips where you can kind of drill in and slice and get into whatever it is that you want. It's been just tremendous.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
And then you do a lot in the HR space as well with recruiting, and you mentioned the retention and everything as well. What are there other insights that you've?
So on the recruiting retention side, that's something that we're really starting to get into now. So not a lot of insights yet. If we talk in a year, there'll be more insights.
Cool, cool.
But the one thing that we track a rolling turnover at the foundation.
Okay.
And so we can see on any given month how many people have turned over the last year, and that's something that really helps teams kind of plan their work and get through things.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's been really helpful.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
And how many? What does your Tableau platform look like? Your deployments, your.
Okay. So we have a foundation-wide server instance,
Okay.
and then HR has our own specific instance because we have very locked down data.
Sure.
So our HR analysts, me and two others, are the admins for that, and so we get to kind of deploy, work on, administer that system ourselves, which is very helpful so that we don't have people accidentally come upon salary data or any other confidential demographic data. And so that's kind of how things go on the HR side, and then we have a couple other deployments of Tableau for the rest of the foundation that we can also utilize if we want to share things out. But it's great to have stuff parsed like that for us.
Cool, cool. And what is it more of a centralized model, or are folks building things and sharing them across teams, or?
Yeah, so a lot of things, so it kind of works in a couple different ways. So we have a lot more people kind of taking in the data than are actually creating.
Okay.
So I think, off the top of my head, we maybe have 20 or 30 people who have desktop licenses who are doing a lot of the content creation and putting it out there, and then probably like 300 to 600 people who are just consuming that information, putting that into strategic plans, some insight generation. A lot of it, I like to joke about, unfortunately, people take snapshots of these beautiful interactive visualizations and they put them into PowerPoint.
There's a GIF, yeah.
Yeah, so if it was only a GIF and it had some movement, that'd be great. We should actually work on that, but so I always shed a little tear when I have to take a screenshot of this beautiful interactive
You're not
dashboard.
getting it, buddy, yeah.
Yeah, it makes me so sad. Yeah.
So how do you train that many people up on how to do these things correctly?
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So we've done, specifically for our HR audiences and partners, we've done some training sessions, as simple as, here's where things are, to like, here's how you interact with a filter or a parameter to kind of get the information you want. Here's how you download things. Here's how you would take your own snapshot of a screen if you needed to go that route. On the user side, we have an internal Tableau users group. So for all the people who are readily create things with with desktop, and so we kind of take turns, knowledge sharing. So we meet every month, talk through problems, share tricks. For example, I created a custom color palette with our communications team so that we have our official company colors that you can now have automatically in every viz.
Sure.
And we, we'll like take turns teaching classes to the broader foundation as well. And so recently, another analyst and myself taught a advanced Tableau class teaching people how to use sets and groups and some basic mapping techniques and calculated fields. And so, we kind of have a learning culture with Tableau, which is great. And, as a lot of the users know, it's very easy to kind of get up and running with it.
Sure. It looks deceptively simple, right?
Yes. Well, you can kind of get that first 20% really easily.
Yep.
And then it's nice to have someone who can, show you how to get to those next levels. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're really great about like sharing things internally, which is awesome. Yeah.
So what's going to happen to your training picture when the next 12 to 24 months happen and all these new features come out? Because some of them are going to be transparent, right? Like Hyper, and a lot of them seem very easy to use. But what features did you look at and say that those look really, really useful to us?
So a lot of the data prepping stuff we're really excited about.
Cool.
Right now we've been exploring using Alteryx for some of that.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to say what we would still have a need for Alteryx to use once we see those new tools.
Sure.
Not having them right now, it's hard to say. But that's the one thing we're really excited about because we do a lot of data prepping. I mean, ideally, what we're looking for is to have some way to connect directly to cloud-based data. I know in Tableau you can connect with Salesforce directly.
Yep.
We're exploring ways to get into Workday, which is our HRIS system, and so we've explored Alteryx, and it'd be great if the native Workday data blending and data connector stuff could do that. So
yeah, native integration is always better than cobbling
if we
together.
can do that.
Cool. And you guys did some work with the Data and Women workshop. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
So can you brief me a little bit about
it was really exciting. I was invited to speak, and when you hear about it being a Connect, you think, oh, it's going to be a pretty small group. But it was about 800 eager data enthusiasts.
Wow.
And we had the opportunity to have your new CEO, or the new CEO of Tableau, speak to the group, which was fantastic. And so yeah, it was great. I got to speak about economic opportunities and inequalities for women, and talked a little bit about the gender pay gap and what are the causes, how that breaks down by different racial or ethnic groups, and
Very cool.
what are some of the causes, at least from the social science research perspective.
Cool.
It's something I've researched before in a past and partial current life. So, yeah.
Very cool. Have you been to any other conference where you've seen that? I personally have not.
No. So past, partial, current life. So I'm an affiliate professor of sociology at the University of Washington as well, and so still do a lot of inequality research. And so at academic conferences, which is what I told the audience of 800, you see these things presented all the time, but there's like 10 people in the audience. So I'm not used to presenting these types of things to 800 people, but it was exciting, and people had a lot of questions, and all the talks were various, takes on the same type of question. So it was great. It was wonderful. I know you spoke with V earlier today, and she spoke there and had a blast. And so
everybody that's been there, they said it's just really enlightening. Just really open community, and talking about bringing these issues out, and here's the reality of it. And don't worry about the hidden things. Let's all talk about the way this really works.
Yep. No, I think it's great. It's great for people to be able to look at data on topics like that and really understand some of the nuances, which is what we were all hoping to show, and then you can talk about how do you bridge those gaps.
Sure. Yeah. And what advice would you have for any viewers that are maybe looking at this and saying, we've used Tableau in other parts of the organization, we're looking to bring it over to HR, but it's a really unique discipline, like you said, the silos, which everybody has, but also the sensitivity of the data and all that. What could you say to those folks to help get them a leg up?
No, that's another great question. You're very prepared. So one of the things we talked about earlier today was that so in a lot of the HR data systems, you have a little less nimbleness in how you can deal with security for users. And so, for example, I believe one of the things that pushed us to use Tableau in the first place was that if you wanted to give a group of users access to a certain field so that they could see aggregated information, let's say, the percentage of people of color in a workplace.
Okay.
You've essentially given them access to go and click on an individual like you or me and see what their personal information is, which is what you don't want to do.
Sure.
So when you push that data out to Tableau, you can have it aggregated, then you can control the security in a little more of a fine grain so that people only see what they're allowed to see.
Gotcha.
And so that's been like the number one reason we've gone with Tableau, and it's fantastic and makes our job much easier. We don't have to worry about security as much. And so I would definitely, push other people. And in fact, all the door-busting HR talks that I've been to in the last couple of days, I think there's a large appetite for this.
Yep.
And from what we found, there's not a lot of formal groups or meetups for these types of folks. And I know the Tableau sales people did a great job last year connecting a bunch of these HR analyst functions who are all customers of Tableau. And it was just, we've kind of met and kind of shared secrets, which has been really helpful.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty new field.
What other parts of the community have you taken advantage of? The forums, the paid support? Have you gotten to explore any of their other facilities in Tableau?
Yeah, so forums are like something we're on constantly.
Cool.
So yeah, we're always getting on there, answering our own questions. So that's great. As Steve Wexler said yesterday in his survey talk, Google is your friend with Tableau because it gets you all the answers you want. And I had actually run across Steve's survey methodology and recommendations for reshaping data just a few months ago and followed his white paper to the T. So it was great to see him speak yesterday since I've been kind of following his playbook.
Yeah.
But other than forums, some of the great resources out there, the Tableau folks themselves have been tremendous resources. Whenever we reach out, we've made some good connections with Tableau's HR analytics team themselves, and we've been kind of sharing, how we make soup with each other, and it's been really great. I'm happy to go to their talk tomorrow at noon.
Cool.
A little plug for that. It's a good team. So
What's do you remember the name of the talk?
I don't off the top of my head, but I think it has HR and Tableau in the title. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think
Find
it's
it in
at
the
noon. Yeah.
finalist. And you had a session. HR has data scientists. How the Gates Foundation visualize people data to discover insights.
Yes.
Is that already been delivered, or is that upcoming?
It just ended at 2:45.
That's right.
And we had a room of 100 packed in there eagerly. They stayed for 20 minutes afterwards. We had to beat them away from asking more
Holy cow.
questions. And there was another 15, 20 people trying to get in the room.
Holy cow.
It was wonderful.
Community likes what you dished up.
Apparently, it was great. It was really, really insightful questions. We had a good conversation, shared, kind of the things we've talked about here already in terms of, getting data out of our HR system and in Tableau, why we do that, how we do that. We kind of showed them, how we embed things in SharePoint, why we do that, get some added security. So that was great. It's wonderful to speak and kind of share what we've been doing because, as I mentioned earlier, it's a new area, and people, using data visualization tools in HR, and everyone's just hoping to learn off each other at this point.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what about you personally? Like, what are some of your favorite features in the Tableau products that you use on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. One of grouping is so easy in Tableau, and thinking about when I've previously used data products where you have to either write a custom query or you have to write some code. And granted, there's times in Tableau that you will, it's easier just to
Drop down to
just to have a calculation to do that, but to quickly be able to say, oh wait, I want to know what these 3 teams would be like if I aggregated them, or these 3 individuals or 3 groups, and just be able to do that in a matter of seconds and see if it's worth exploring with a code or a calculated field down the road. Such a time saver. I mean, we by default use Tableau in the way that most people probably use Excel, and we just immediately put things in there and we just start creating, because you can easily get into some additional insights that would take you a lot longer in Excel, and especially when people eventually, are going to want it as a screenshot. It looks prettier in Tableau than it does in anything else.
Very cool. Yeah, and they're doing the pre-aggregation in the features they're bringing out too.
Yes.
So that'll be really exciting to see as well.
Yes, exactly. We are always looking at the release notes excitedly to see if the things that we're voting up on the forums are finding their way, and they always do at some point. Something that came out relatively recently, which is just a huge time saver for us, is having the ability to change the format on your entire workbook, rather than you previously had to every little
Piece by
element.
piece.
Yeah, and now there's a global setting, which is such a time saver. I cannot even tell you.
I felt your pain.
No,
You were just
it's true.
I just saw you.
We regularly will have executives or stakeholders who say, "This is great, but I need it to be in a different font size," and it will be like,
Make it more blue.
yes, we can do it, but it's really not easy.
Don't have
And it
20
should be
minute
easy.
to.
But now it is, and so it's great.
That's fantastic. Do you get a lot of interaction when you're demoing the products to the other stakeholders in the foundation? To Bill says, "Hey, can I see this?" Whatever, and you go over and just immediately rework it, or
So we do not get any FaceTime with Bill, unfortunately. He doesn't hang out with us as much as he should. He's usually busy with other things, but we do have the chief executive. Some of them they're actively interested in the data, very data-driven culture, and so we're regularly going live, showing them some of our data in Tableau, and they're asking questions, and we get them magically click a few things, and they see it, and they are very happy when things happen that quickly, when you can ask a complicated question.
Totally, and not have to, I'll get back to you in a few days.
No,
it's
tremendous. Yeah.
Totally. Cool. Well, Jon, I think we're about out of time. Are you going to go to the data night out tonight?
We are.
Fantastic.
We are. We
Can be
can't
a lot of folks getting very happy and/or sad there, I think.
Yes. No. I think after last night, we definitely need to go there and have a few drinks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right.
Jon, thank you so much.
Yeah, great to speak with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you at the party, and we will be back shortly.
All right.